Hey, welcome back to Project Me. It has been so long, far more than I would have liked, but it's good to be back. I'm excited to get back into it. And we're gonna kick it off right and strong with a video about jealousy. And it's a really interesting topic for me because, well, first of all, I would never really consider myself a jealous person. So I think it's really interesting that I'm starting to that I actually want to talk about this sort of jealous feeling that I get. And usually, if I get what I think is jealous, I see something that someone else has and I realize I want it. It's usually just fuel that drives me to earn it myself. Be it, you know, prestige or money or grades or whatever it might be, right? It's just fuel for me. I don't dwell on it. It's not something that drives, a feeling of bitterness within me towards that person. I mean, fundamentally, it's about the fact that I see it, I want it, so I'm going to do something about it and get it. That's sort of my usual approach to jealousy. And on the other hand, I've gotten really close with a friend of mine recently, like really close, to the point that she's sort of redefined my conception of what love can be. And I understand that might sound a little bit odd at face value, but what I mean is this: normally in English, the conventional meaning of love is romantic, sexual, that sort of stuff. But for example, in Greek, they had 9 different words for love. Eros, for example, I think was friendship. But this, what I'm getting at is that there's so many different types of love, not all of which are the conventional understanding that we have in English. Another example is that the I can't remember which word I'm not allowed to use anymore. The tribal population, the indigenous population of Alaska, Greenland, they have like 42 different words for snow, right? Whereas in English, it's just snow. But that's not to say that there are different, subtleties and niches within snow that English just doesn't have the vocabulary to identify. So that's sort of what I mean. English just doesn't have the vocabulary to identify the different types of love. And so I've sort of had this awakening recently with her, where because I've gotten so close with her, she's completely changed how I view the meaning of love. I love her with all my heart, genuinely. She's such a good friend. But regardless, back to the topic of jealousy. Um, I I found myself I found myself uh, getting jealous. I want her presence all to myself when we're together. For example, she'll come over and she'll be chatting to my flatmates, and I'll be like, "No, come over, come with me. Let's go upstairs." Which is really interesting for me. I've never quite felt that way about someone. Like, yes, I will sometimes get irritated or annoyed when I want to spend time with someone, and people will sort of intrude or infringe on that and delay it or whatever. But this is a little bit different. A little bit different. I care a lot more about it, for one, which is interesting. Um, but what I did notice when I was thinking about this is, in the past with the previous, my other conceptions of jealousy, where it just provides fuel for me to do something and earn what I want, that was all within my control, right? I saw something that I wanted. Maybe I couldn't control my desire there, but it was within my control to do something about it and sort of seize it for myself. Whereas here, it's quite different. It's a person. It's a sovereign person. It's someone who I can't control, right? And I think that's partly why this uh, conception of jealousy is really it's not really bothering me, but it is certainly irritating me, and it's something I'm noticing quite a bit more. Um, I don't have any control over it, or at least I can't do anything about it, like I could in the sense that I could actually seize something that I wanted. So that I think is really interesting for me. It's been quite an enlightening sort of realization. Yeah, yeah. One, yeah. Backing up a little bit, I have never liked mixing friend groups and mixing friends together. I suspect it may be for the same reason. Um, like I like keeping friends separate. So for example, when my special friend comes over, um, I want to minimize her engagement with the people who live with me, my flatmates. Um, like I don't want them to form friendships outside of me and her. I don't really know how to explain it. What I don't want is for her to start being friends with them and doing stuff together without me. Is really what I'm getting at, and that feels wrong to me. Like I'm sure I'm wrong to feel that way. I'm sure I am. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel secure, but it still bothers me. And so I did some thinking, and I realized that it comes from this time in my childhood where I was effectively abandoned by my friends, and it's clearly stuck with me, for good or ill. Um, and now it's turned into this defense mechanism, I guess, where I I want to minimize the opportunity for my friends to become friends with each other. Now, that raises two possibilities for me. One, that it's selfish on my part, and secondly, that it's pain avoidance. It's a defense mechanism, right? I'm not quite sure which it is. It could even be a combination of the two, but I think it's I think it's less selfishness and more about avoiding the pain, which seems to me like a pretty big theme in how I tend to deal with emotions, which is interesting. And again, part of the reason why I started this channel, so I could force myself to dive in to my emotions as opposed to running away, like I might have done in the past. Nevertheless, there's definitely an element of selfishness in there. I we're all in the living room, her, my flatmates, and and yeah, I don't want her down there. I want her with me. I enjoy spending time with her. I want her to be in my room talking to me, right? So there's that selfishness in there, but far outweighing that, I think, is again the avoidance of pain, the defense mechanism, because to me, oh, that's my light. Oh, so bright. To me, the idea that if they do become friends, then it risks putting sort of the reciprocity of our current relationship into danger. And what I mean by that is, to me, every sort of relationship is underpinned by reciprocity, right? You should each be putting in a relatively equal amount to get an equal amount out of it. If my friend becomes friends with my other friends, then the total amount of effort on her part will decrease because it's being channeled somewhere else, and mine will stay the same, which leads to an imbalance in the relationship. Right? That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it certainly means that I feel a little bit less valued or prioritized in the relationship. And effectively, the relationship is no longer reciprocated. And this is sort of a recurring theme that I talk about. I always struggle with determining just how much effort to put into a relationship with someone. It's very much like a social chameleon kind of thing. I match the energy of the person I'm with. If they prioritize me, and I like them, I will prioritize them. Right? It's that sort of thing. And I suppose the idea that the thing that really scares me is that now that I've found this person, my friend, who I care so deeply about, and who I think, but I can never be quite sure, cares very deeply about me, suddenly the danger of having some of that energy, that love, that care being siphoned off elsewhere to someone else puts my conception of this relationship at risk. And I think that is what scares me so deeply. Yeah, I think more than anything else, I suspect that being in that position where we have this relationship and then she starts pulling back and putting energy elsewhere would crush me. It would hurt. It would seriously hurt. I would hate to see her drift away. And I'm realizing now that I would definitely blame myself for that. I would see it as completely within my control to prevent it, simply by doing more to, for example, minimize the opportunity she has to talk to my other friends, right? I'm also realizing I would blame myself for far more than I would think I would. I mean, you have to take responsibility for your own life. But am I taking too much responsibility for mine? I don't know. My first instinct is never to blame someone else or something else. It's always to blame me. And maybe that puts too much pressure on me. That is an altogether concerning thought that I will have to think more about. We're going to leave it there. It's a little bit frustrating, actually, this jealousy. My closing comment is going to be that I am, so my life is infinitely better with her, but there's this duality. On the one hand, it's just exhausting, because on the one hand, she is my peace, but on the other hand, she's the thing preventing me from my own peace. It's really interesting. Really interesting. But my life is infinitely better with her, so I'm very happy regardless. That's going to be it. Interesting dilemma here. I hope my analysis of my emotion was accurate and helpful in any way to someone else. I don't know. All the best, guys. Hope you're all having an absolutely wonderful week, day, time, whatever. See you around. Cheers.